Well, it's Sunday. The week draws to a close. Um, it was roasting yesterday. It was really hot. And today supposedly is going to be a couple of degrees cooler, but I don't think I'll really notice it till it's about 25 degrees cooler because heat and I are not good friends. And but I just wanted to talk a little bit about a statement I made yesterday. Um, I posted "Summer in the City" by the Love and Spoonful, and then posted um, Judith Owen's interpretation of it. And I unfoundedly mentioned, who knows, maybe it's the Wrecking Crew playing on the original on this. And everything that's posted about that song in the media, All Music, discography, all those things, list the guys in the band as the musicians on it. And I really wasn't questioning whether they were the guys on it. It was a possibility because so many songs like the Association, the Byrds, there were so many groups from that period that did not play on their records. The Wrecking Crew played on them. But and I know the guys are really good players in the Spoonful. So this goes back to when the Beatles were going to play the Hollywood Bowl. I wanted to see them so bad. I was so excited. The summer before, I had applied at the Hollywood Bowl to get a job as an usher at the bowl. And they didn't need any, and they said, thanks for asking, but we're fine. And I was a teenager, and then when the Beatles were going to be at the Hollywood Bowl, I immediately sent for tickets to go see them, and then immediately received a response. The show was sold out. No way to get in and see that. It was gone in a nanosecond. So I was bummed. They were really kind of changed my life like so many other musicians. I wasn't that particularly into pop music. I was coming out of a classical jazz background. And suddenly the Beatles and the English invasion hit, and it kind of turned my head completely around. And I said, oh, there is something really going on here. So I was sad at that point. And then I got a letter in the mail from the Hollywood Bowl saying that they had a concert coming up, a kind of a special concert, and they were going to need additional ushers for it. And I open, I'm reading this thing, and it's the Beatles. So basically, I went from not being able to buy a ticket to see the Beatles to actually getting paid $5 to go be an usher at the Beatles concert. And I'll never forget it. I believe it was the Real Don Steele came out on stage, and the bowl was pitch black at that point. All the lights were off, and he goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles." And they come out on stage, and you may as well have been on the surface of the sun. I mean, this was the day of flash bulbs. And man, for their entire set, it was nothing but deafening screaming and flashbulbs going off, where it was just blinding white light for the whole thing. And it was remarkable. I'll never forget that experience as long as I live. And then when I first met Paul McCartney in 1990 at Nebworth, when I was playing there with Phil and combined with Genesis at that concert, and Wings was playing, and I was sitting backstage, and Paul was there, and I started talking to him, and I told him about that, and he thought it was just the greatest thing. He says, "You were an usher at the bowl when we played there." So that was great. But the thing that also came of that was they kept me on for the entire season that summer. So after the Beatles play, I worked every weekend there, and I got to do like the Ravi Shankar India Festival. Saw Jimi Hendrix there with Vanilla Fudge opening for him. And it was great because those were the days it was a reflecting pool in front of the stage, where now it's all additional seating down front. But in those days, it was a pool. And like when Jimmy was playing, all these kids were jumping in and splashing, and he stopped and told them to get the hell out of there. He says that, they're going to get electrocuted with the amount of water that was being thrown up on the stage. But another show that I saw there that was just unbelievable was the Beach Boys. And it was not because the Beach Boys were so amazing. It's because the Lovin' Spoonful opened for them. There were several acts. There was always multiple acts opening, but the Lovin' Spoonful were on just before them. And I thought to myself, if I was in the Beach Boys, I would not want to come out on stage now and play, because the Spoonful were so good. Their set was so strong and great. And over the years, I became friends with John Sebastian, and bump into him at the NAMM shows and different functions and stuff. But I didn't want to cast any dispersions about whether they were good enough. When you're watching TV shows, the videos like that stuff, nobody's playing. It's all just lip sync on those. And we've done that with Phil when we played Top of the Pops in England or any of these shows. The only time we ever really play live is like when we did Phil and David Crosby and I did the Arsenio Hall show or the Tonight Show, and you play live on those. But the Spoonful were great. They absolutely killed it. And I was completely blown away. And a lot of people left after they played as soon as, and this isn't, to dump on the Beach Boys, but it was kind of like after the Spoonful set, you were kind of going, that was a really good evening. And when the Beach Boys finally came on stage and started playing, a lot of people were leaving at that point. They had really had a great musical evening. So, I just wanted to say that I didn't mean that, it couldn't have been them. It had to be the Wrecking Crew. And some people said that the stuff was recorded, their stuff was East Coast. But it's always in the back of my head, because one of the things in my career that I've been hired to do is there's been a number of album projects where they've cut the album, and then when they go in to start mixing it, I get a call, and the producer or the engineer goes, look, bass player's not really cutting it, and this band is not good. And is there any way you can come in and learn all their parts, and let's replace them all? But they can't know it. So yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing. There's a certain dishonesty to it, but there's the business side where they've got to get this record out, and they were having just too much trouble dealing with it. And I did that for one group, and I went in and replaced all the bass parts. Bass player never knew they had been replaced. And the next thing I know, at that point, the bass player is featured in a big ad on the back cover of Bass Player magazine, talking about that they're one of the new really great bass players on the scene and all this. And I'm sitting there thinking, I've never been on the back cover of Bass Player or anything like that. It's weird. And I finally, for the most part, just stopped doing it. When the guys would call me, I'd say, you shouldn't have signed them. You should have worked with them or done something, but they're under time and constraints and things like that. So they're just going, we got to get this thing done, and it's going to be too much work to try to correct all this. And I just kind of look at it, and I'm sort of, saddened by it, because at some point they got to go out on the road and perform. And, and it's kind of sad, but maybe it gave the bass player confidence that when they actually heard it finished, maybe they really hunkered down and dug in deeper, going, "Hey, I'm pretty good. Let me just I'm better than I thought. Let me really work at it." I hope that would be the case, and not just go, "Check me out." Oh, man, I kicked ass on this thing. But it's weird when you get those calls. It's a real dilemma. But I've seen, especially back in the heyday of MTV, I would see bands performing on MTV. And they're up there just going at it and stuff. And everybody's sitting at home watching them going, "Man, those guys are amazing." And I'm sitting there going, "Well, that's me on bass. That's so-and-so on drums. That's, it's, there's always been a lot of smoke and mirrors." And with the Wrecking Crew, it wasn't that kind of a deception. It was, they made the records. Just they never got album credit for it. So nobody knew it was when they were listening to Frank or Nancy Sinatra. like These Boots Are Made for Walking, or they were listening to The Association, or any multitude of acts, Sonny and Cher, all these artists that came out of that kind of late 50s through the 60s period, that it was this same bunch of players. And when we did our group therapy album in 67, we were good players. We hadn't had studio experience, but we all knew how to play, and we played live, and everybody liked the band. But when we went in the studio, we weren't allowed to play on our record. The Wrecking Crew played on our record. So it was a whole other ballgame. But I just wanted to clear that up because I was really a massive fan of all those groups, the Lovin' Spoonful, the Rascals. The first time I met Felix Cavallari, I just about wet myself because I loved the Rascals so much, the Young Rascals. And those guys are all great players and made great, great records. So, I just wanted to get that out there. And so there was no misunderstanding about that. It was maybe a comment I could have avoided saying, but I thought it was important just to say, look, those guys are great players, and you just never know what's going on when it comes to records. It was a great record too. I mean, the thing is, like, listening to it, I was listening and going, it's not like Judith blew them out of the water. It's a completely different interpretation. I love the original Summer in the City. It's a great summer song, got lots of attitude and stuff. And Judith is more of, she just loves that kind of Brazilian bossa nova vibe for some songs. And so it's fun, if you're going to do it just like they did it, then why the hell are you making another record of it? But if you can take things and reinterpret them and make a new song completely out of it, then I think it's valid to go cover them. It's not like going to a karaoke bar. And then a couple of people have written to me and said, is there any footage of you and Russ, maybe Waddy, with Judith back when you guys first started working together? And I think I've found some videos. So after this video, right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dig those up, and I'll put those up today too, and just show kind of where we all got started together with Judith. And it's a hoot. We'll be back in the studio again, hopefully this week, doing some more work, because she's got several album projects going at the same time, completely different. And one of them is just a absolutely unique piece of work and unbelievable compositional skills on it. And it's really going to be exciting when it's finally finished. So have a great Sunday. Enjoy yourselves today. I'm all bandaged up. I was doing yard work today and decided just to really just wrap it up and cover it all, just so I wouldn't get anything else going on. I just want this to heal so I can start playing again. That's it. I'll put up a couple of videos now, and then I'm going to continue working on my book. I've got a couple of pages of notes to get together with Blue, and we're going to go through these notes and do some additions and some subtractions, and it's zeroing in. And hopefully at some point, maybe next week, I'll be able to announce a Kickstarter program, which is a first for me. I've donated to Kickstarters in the past. I've never actually gotten involved in one. So it'll be interesting to see how this all works. And meeting with a friend on Monday who might contribute something to the book in writing. And he's got a couple of books out and he's done Kickstarter. So he's going to give me a tutorial. He's going to take the old dog out and teach him some new tricks, as they say. So have a great day. Thoughts with all the people out there working so hard. I looked at Facebook and a bunch of people are posting losses that they've experienced this past week, of people that were healthy that just suddenly are gone now. It's quite staggering. So, man, the hardworking people out there, my heart's with you guys. So you take care. I'm going to go dig up some videos, and I'm going to go grab them and put them up right after this long diatribe that I've just left you is over. Bye-bye.